Hello, friends. I am Ray Gaucher. With me, my partner in crime, my very good friend, my dear friend, Adrian Scott. Out on Vancouver Island, I'm in Yuma, Arizona, or should I say San Luis, Arizona. It's 42 degrees Celsius up here. I don't know. What is it down there, my friend? What are you dealing with up there, rather?
Do you really want me to tell you?
Yeah, I do.
It's a nice 19 or 20 degrees floating in between there.
Oh, that's very, very nice.
But I would say mostly overcast, and we actually had a good about 10-minute long just torrential downpour of rain, and then it was clear again.
Really?
But that's the west coast of Canada. You know, there's an old saying I remember growing up as a kid: if you don't like the weather, hang around for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty accurate around here.
I bet you it smells really nice up there where you are too when it rains, and you get all that heavy rainfall in the trees and everything, and then it must smell really, really nice, once the rain stops.
Well, if it wasn't for the sewer next door. No, it actually it actually does. Yeah, absolutely. You get that the water on the leaves, and also the flowers are all in full bloom right now, so you get a lot of that. There's lavender, wild lavender growing around, so you get a bit of that effect in there. Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah, well, not much to say about where I'm at. Just very, very humid, very warm. It's funny, I look outside, and of course I'm recording this from the inside of my truck. You can see the trees moving around a bit, but the breeze down here really makes no difference. I mean, it can be blowing like crazy. It's just all it's doing is blowing the heat around. So you're better off to be inside your truck where I'm at with the air conditioning running. So I don't really know if anybody can hear the noise in the background. If I was to turn the noise cancellation off, it would be very, very noisy. As a matter of fact, I think I'll give people an idea what I got to listen to. So this is what I have to listen to.
I can't hear you.
Maybe we'll leave it like this right now, but thankfully, due to some technology, we can turn that stuff off, and it makes it a little bit more
terrible,
enjoyable. So, friends, we just wanted to give you all an update for those of you that are watching on Truth and Testimony, the broadcast, or you're listening to us viewing on Truth and Testimony, the broadcast, the YouTube channel, or if you are listening to us on the podcast itself. We wanted to give you an update on our most recent venture of relaunching Power Praise Radio, a syndicated show that we did for 126 weeks starting in 2008. That started in 2008 and went for a straight 126 weeks, which the more I listen to it, my friend, the more I realize how involved that show was. Like when we did Back to the 80s, we had fun with that. It was more of a fun thing to do. Power Praise Radio was more of a professional thing to do because we were dealing with clients. We were dealing with stations like this particular show that I'm doing now. I notice it's 13 minutes shorter than all the other ones. I'm like, what's going on? Until I realized the reason why we did that is to make room for all the advertisements and the promos and the sweepers for all the radio stations, because radio stations started to come aboard airing our show. So we had to make room for all the ads. That doesn't take away from the quality of the show. And you can hear all the artists doing the liners, and you're with Power Praise Radio with Adrian. And it was just an abundance of interaction with the independent artists. And I'm so glad that we recorded all of these things. I mean, we could have recorded them and then sent them out and then got rid of them. But we kept all of it as an archive. And I'm so glad we did that, because it really it really is a phenomenal show. I say was in the past tense, but when it was launched out there, it really became very popular with the artists. It did really well. So, kind
of funny you're saying all that. Somewhere in my vast CD archives kicking around in my studio here, I actually still have one of the bands that we did feature on Power Praise Radio. I think a couple times they came up, was a group called the Ineloquent. And I always have a tongue twister trying to say that. The Ineloquent. And I actually have a physical CD from them filled with an assortment of shouts and everything for the show.
Really?
You're listening to Rick O'Shea and Adrian Scott. Yeah. That's about the only one that I physically have. Most of that stuff stayed with you because you were doing most of the production mixing and everything beforehand. And then I would come in and record with you.
Actually, I do have a folder that has artist shouts. And there's like at least 24 of them in there. So I still have all that original stuff, which is kind of cool. We've had very good response from the show. We've had a lot of, recently, we've had a lot of people send me emails and comments that they leave on the show. Now, the main issue that we're having with it being, like, originally we wanted to air this on YouTube and we thought this would be great. But for whatever reason, they're not a label. They're not a CD label. They are a company that more or less makes money off of telling people that they can't. Well, what they do is they go after royalties. If a song is heard on YouTube, then they go after the royalties. But for whatever reason, they're not allowing these artists to collect royalties. They'd rather just block the show, which I made mention before. Like, hey, these are independent artists. I don't know if a lot of them are even. I don't know if they're signed yet. Some of them may not be signed. Here's an opportunity for them to make a little bit of royalty money from their hard-earned time recording these, but yet let's block them so they don't get anything or that they're not noticed. I don't get it. Like, why would they block these songs when I can play one of the biggest songs in history, Beat It by Michael Jackson or whatever, and they let that air on YouTube and collect the royalties, but an independent artist that's struggling, possibly, let's block them. Like, can someone explain that to me?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but
they're blocking the whole show. They're not even blocking one song.
But I've seen it as crazy as someone having a video blocked for, what did the one guy say? It was his video got blocked for a 10-second audio remix of a song.
Yeah. It
was an audio remix. It wasn't even the original piece. And it got blocked for 10 seconds, 10 seconds worth of this. And it's just, I understand the idea that, both Ray and I absolutely 100% believe and agree that the artists are entitled to the money that they should be earning from the stuff that they're doing. We don't want to collect any of that money. It should go to the people that are making that music. That's what we've always thought, I suppose maybe one thing you could say is not everyone thinks that, but that's where we're at, and it's unfortunate as well, because when you're sitting there blocking stuff like that, additionally, it's a case with this specifically, it's almost the same difference of saying, no, put that Bible away. We don't want anyone to hear, that passage from the book of Genesis. So just shut that door, because what are the messages that they're singing about? Jesus loves you, come to the kingdom, nope. We don't want people to hear that.
Well, you know what? If this was independent music for secular artists, I don't think we'd have this problem.
Yeah, more often than not, what I've seen is kind of what you just described, that you'll get a copyright claim on it. But all that means is that the artist collects whatever money that video makes, which again is fine by our reckoning.
Yeah.
So this is a bit different. The fact that it's completely being blocked. They're not just claiming royalties off of it. They're completely shutting it down.
And
so we had to do this kind of backdoor roundabout thing where we're providing it on a format where it can be heard. And then all we can do is kind of link to that on YouTube. So that's why you're not seeing full episodes on YouTube. We're having similar issues and stuff on Rumble, but that's why it's all being redirected to the podcast. So you can hear the full episodes, but you will have to do it on a podcast format. Even then, because the other thing I ran into is the first time you did this, you had posted a, I don't know what they call it, a message. It wasn't a video on YouTube. It was just a message explaining that the video had been blocked and you could check it out on the podcast. Yeah. That didn't even show up on my feed. I was searching for it and I couldn't find it. So that's kind of why we started instituting this little 30-second video clip. so that there was a video clip, and we just provide the information in there, and you can check out each week's episode. So they're going to continue going up one way or another. We still want as many people as possible to hear this. So once again, it's just a big encouragement to sign up for your local podcast vendors, whatever they may be. Podbean is of course the main one we use.
That's ours.
But that's not the only one. So anyone you want to use, go ahead and use it. You can find us. It's always Truth and Testimony, the broadcast. And under that, you'll find Power Praise Radio.
Yeah, except for Spotify. You can't hear the show on Spotify. Again, Spotify removes the show because they're not making any money off of it, because they don't deal with music, apparently. That's the note that we get. Because we don't specialize, or whatever it is, because we don't approve of music on Spotify, we have to block your show. Like, I thought Spotify was all about music. I might be wrong. Maybe they're into audiobooks. I don't know.
My mother has an enormous Spotify playlist of music that she listens to. So I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but
they're not making any money. And the message is to praise God. I understand. I completely understand. So, but we would prefer people to go to Podbean and actually go to the link that we provide in that little redirect video that pops up every week.
Yeah.
And go over to there. I'll go over to there. Wow, that's interesting. Go over to there.
You've been spending too much time in Oklahoma, my friend.
Go over to there.
And put the chicken in the oven. Yeah.
And hunker down and make yourself a hoggy and have yourself a brew. Yeah. Anyway, we still prefer you to go over to Podbean and follow over there, because they're very gracious over there. They're not making a big stink about what we're doing. I mean, we are airing a show that we produced. We have permission by all of these artists to put those songs in there, but now we don't have any authority to record, to air our own show. I love the way this works. We can claim that this is our material, but because the music is on there. But anyway, we're not going to make a big stink out of it. It is very typical that this would happen, because two things. For one thing, it would give, like Adrian said, we want to give these artists exposure. We would love them to make some money off of the royalties, but thanks to CD Baby, which is the company, they're blocking it, so they can't make anything and nobody can recognize them. But we're making it work that you can, and you can hear the show in its entirety on Podbean. You can hear the show in its entirety on Apple Podcasts. Any other podcast provider out there that I know of is still airing it. The only one that is causing an issue is Spotify, which is not a big deal to me, because that's just one. I don't even have a Spotify account, so it doesn't even bother me. So
I have to admit, neither do I.
Yeah, it is. And I think Google Music still airs it, and all the other podcast providers we have no issue with, just Spotify. And even if Spotify completely dropped us, I think I'd be able to sleep at night. It wouldn't really bother me one bit at all. Probably. And but we've had some very good response from the show. So anyway, we'll tell you, for those of you that are just tuning in, normally we will upload the show to Podbean. It's scheduled to go up every Sunday morning. Normally you'll see the podcast show up on our feeds, but because of the copyright issue, we're literally having the show put in unlisted mode, so you can't really see it, because you can't see it anyway. You can't listen to it because it's blocked. In its place, there is a short little 30-second or 28-second video that pops up saying, because of copyright issues, we can't air the show here. There's a link in the description below. Go there and you'll be able to hear the show in its entirety. And so we recommend you do that. And if you are first time and you've heard the show and you like it, you can avoid the link every week, or you can click onto it. Just like I said, go to Podbean, the link we provide. That will actually take you to, that link will take you not just to the show, but to the actual website, where you'll see all of what we have listed in there. Our regular podcasts, our Shekels for Your Thoughts, our Bible breaks, and anything else that we do, like what you're listening to right now. That's going to be on that page. And the Power Praise Radio shows are very obvious, because it has the little logo next to it. And of course, the length is about an hour and 45 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. And just to back up a quick hair, just in case you're watching this right now and you're not familiar still with what Power Praise Radio is, this is a show that Ray and I were working on the better part of 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, somewhere in that range.
2008.
And it featured independent Christian music artists. We did feature a few other little things in there, but it's all faith-based. But yeah, specifically just trying to get exposure to some independent Christian music artists. And so we did this 2-hour show featuring all of that stuff and showcasing it. And part of why we're wanting to do the re-air now is partially to have more people have a chance to be exposed to these incredible songs, but also for, people that might be more familiar with us and didn't realize that Ray and I had this history. This is part of our history. All the things that we did previously leading up to what we're doing now with Truth and Testimony and in fact, Ray with his own trucker channel. There's a history behind all of that. Part of that was Power Praise. Part of that was the other show we did, Back to the 80s, which was an 80s show. There was a few other things we did as well. Did some specials on a radio station. And we even have some material going way back to 1992 when we went to broadcasting school, our very, very first time ever sitting in a studio together. At some point, you're going to get an opportunity to hear some of that. So I'm going to take this opportunity right now.
Did you record that?
No, but you said you had it.
Yeah, I have some of it.
Our first sound check in studio. But I want to take the opportunity right now to tell everyone, if you have not done so, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell and everything, because when that finally does drop, and it's going to creep out at some point, you don't want to miss that, because it's we were quite a bit different back then than we are today. Let's just say we've matured.
You know what? I am so glad that we recorded that air check.
Yeah.
I don't think I can honestly say that I don't think too many people would have done that. They would have just turned on the microphones and had fun and whatever. But the problem with me, and this goes back to when I was like 12 years old, my uncle had this is when I was living in Edmonton. I think I might have even been 10 years old. He had this tape recorder. And once I found that, I was always fascinated with it because it recorded sounds and I was able to record my voice. And I even remember back in that day, when I was 10, I think it was like 1978 or whatever it was, they used to have these Alfred Hitchcock audio shows come on the radio, whatever. And I always would pretend that I am doing a show and I would make the sound effects and everything. And that started way back then. And then when the 80s rolled around and I started really getting into the music, I would record music right off the stereo. I had a little ghetto blaster. I got a little 1-deck ghetto blaster for Christmas.
Anyone that was around back in the 80s knows that one, making those little homemade mixtapes, recording stuff right off the radio.
Exactly. Yeah. And right from then I was recording everything. And then, of course, when I departed from that and I just started doing my fun little teenage craziness, hanging out in White Rock and traveling the streets and all that, I still had a tape recorder. I had a Walkman that recorded, and I would record lots of things. And I do have stuff that would really really sound crazy. But I did it all. And I was actually drug-free at the time, which is, if you heard it, you would think what was that guy on? But my mind was so creative. I just wanted to do so many things, and I would record my friends' outings and that, and they didn't know why until I put it together with music from Jean-Michel Jarre. If you remember him, I put his music in the background. Was it Michael Jean Jarre? Or anyway, I think maybe it was Jean-Michel Jarre. I would have his music in the background, and all of a sudden my friends are like, "No, this is interesting." After whatever. Having a good time that, during our teenagehoods when we were experimenting, if you get my drift. And of course, I always wanted to record special moments. What's that?
I say, if anyone real quick doesn't know, and I always pronounce it Jean-Michel Jarre. Yeah. But it could either way, whichever way.
I think that's how you say it.
Yeah. But his style of music, to put it in some perspective, if anyone is familiar, because this is a popular example, a lot more people tend to know, is go back to the old sci-fi uber classic movie, Blade Runner. And the entire soundtrack for that movie was done by a fella named Vangelis. So if you're familiar at all with Vangelis, or even if you search any of that stuff up, it was a similar genre of stuff, very electronic, atmospheric, ambient music, very experimental, really cool. And actually going through a bunch of my old albums, I just found, I still have on vinyl, Ray, I've got Jean-Michel Jarre, Equinox.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't mind grabbing some of that stuff again. It's been such a long time. But anyway, to make a long story short, I carried a tape recorder no matter where I went. I always had one. And when we went to the school and we went in there to do our first air check, the very first thing I'm looking for in that studio, and I think I asked one of the teachers, can we record our air check? Oh yeah, there's a deck right there to stick it right in there. That's the very first thing I did before I even sat down, is must record. Clack. And into the thing it went. And I'm so grateful that I did that, because we have the very first interaction between me and this guy here on mics together. And you would think, after listening to that we have done this for weeks and we were just clowning around. This was our very first interaction. We didn't really even know each other. I mean, we knew each other in the classroom, but we didn't really know each other to be able to say, okay, we've got some decent chemistry. It was actually quite fun. I know we've talked about this before, but like he was saying, there's going to be an opportunity where we're going to be playing clips of that air check, which I think was quite funny.
Yeah, as well as other things. So once again, subscribe,
and the bloopers, and
don't miss any of it.
Yeah, we really should do something like that soon, play the bloopers of the 80s show and Power Praise and any other interaction that we've done, a little bit from CKNS air checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, that's a little synopsis of what Power Praise is, why we're re-airing it now. I mean, that's kind of the two main reasons. And then why we're in the circumstances that we're in, of why we're needing to provide it the way that it's happening. Is there's a reason for it. We'd love to just be able to just put everything out there, but there are some roadblocks to it, and so we're getting it out the best way that we can at the moment.
Yeah, it's not even like we're not doing anything illegal. It's not being blocked because we're doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
it's just being blocked because I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's a faulty system. We'll just say that it's a bit of a faulty system.
Yeah, I think of a lot of these artists knew that I don't even think the artists even know. I don't think they've even been notified. I think of a lot of those artists knew that this show is being re-aired and they're having a chance to be exposed on their music, and I think they would really enjoy listening to their music out there again being aired. I think they would be ecstatic about it. I think they would be appalled if they knew it was being blocked, where nobody could hear it and they're not making any money off the royalties.
It's not just music. It's a message about faith in God. I mean, that's what's being blocked. As much as a song is being blocked, a message about love and fellowship and the Lord Jesus, and that's what's also being blocked here.
Yeah, because a lot of those songs, when you listen to them, there's so much time and effort and quality production and the writing of the lyrics, and some of those independent artists are amazing. And I remember when we used to just go through their list. I think they had Indie Heaven had like 600-700 artists on there, and we had just a ridiculous amount of music to choose from. We did 167 consistent, or should I say consecutive episodes. We never ran out of material. There's just so much music out there. I don't even think we even scratched the surface, to be honest with you.
We ran out of show before we ran out of material. We had to just stop doing the show before we ran out of stuff that we could have done.
Yeah, I think we would have went longer with the show, but as we mentioned before, just finances, time, everything else. So, we needed to move forward. And, but I'm again, so grateful that, 2.5 years of syndication on that was pretty amazing. I mean, it was very successful, and we're happy with that. So we just felt it necessary to bring that up again. Why we're having to redirect everything to the podcast, because it's just, I don't know. There's a word for it. I don't know what the word is for it, but it's just yeah, it's too bad. It really is too bad that we have to do what we do, but we're making it happen. We're making it happen. So when you see that redirect on there of the new show, it's Power Praise Radio show number 5, whatever. Just know there's a link under there. Click onto that and it'll take you to the show. I know you will enjoy it. It's commercial free and it is fun. And the further we get into doing the show, I mean, this is brand new. Like we're into, like this week, it's show number 4. And like I said, there's 126 episodes. So it'll take us way, I don't know, what did we say it was? 200,
about 2.5 years,
2028 or something. And the shows just get better and better and better and better and more fun. And then we actually add more mainstream Christian music into the second hour. And it really starts getting good. It really does. So, yeah. And
I remember one song that you got on there. I'd never heard of her. I didn't know the song at all. Well, much like a lot of that, because I mean, keep in mind that prior to doing Power Praise, I wasn't a believer. So I certainly wasn't listening to any of that kind of music. So it was all new to me, but this was yet another new one, but it's always stood out to me. It is on most of my playlists, whether it's regular music or Christian music. It's in almost all my playlists. Is Rebecca St. James.
Yeah.
What is it called? Omega? Is that
Omega.
Omega. Man, that's an amazing song.
I love that song. If you haven't
heard it, you've got to check out that song, if nothing else.
Well, Rebecca that's on one of our episodes. I can't remember what episode that is.
But that's where I was introduced to it, when we did it in that episode. And what a great song.
Yeah, no, there is. And you know, it's funny. One of my YouTubers, her name is Peggy. She had recently sent me a message, and she had offered. She has like a lot of, I think they're either CDs or cassettes, or I don't know. I think they're CDs. She's got a whole collection of Christian artists.
Oh yeah,
from the 80s and the 90s. Margaret Becker and early Toby Mac stuff, and Michael W. Smith and Stephen Curtis Chapman, and just the earlier stuff. Maybe, I don't even know if Keith Green was still around. No, he died in the 70s. But just anyway, and I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be nice to get a hold of that? I bet you that's a really nice little collection of music, because I can see us revamping the show, you know, and doing an anniversary version, which would be really cool to add some other music to it. We don't know. I mean, we're going to do something together sooner or later. You can't keep us, you get us in the same room and you get a studio set up. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
It's just a matter of time.
We can't hold it in. We can't hold it in.
No, no.
I was going to say, do you remember, what's his name? Steve Camp?
Yes.
That's some good stuff. And Russ Taff. Now, I know Russ Taff had a bit of a iffy, rough life there at points.
He did, but he recovered.
What an amazing voice. And yes, he recovered.
Yeah. Russ Taff, he was one of the singers on the 70s gospel group.
Called the Imperials?
Imperials, yes. And then he went solo in 1986 or 87. Phenomenal album, self-titled Russ Taff. Yeah, he struggled with alcohol. He struggled with it. And there's a documentary actually on YouTube about it. It's very touching. And he got through it. And, you know, hopefully he's still sober. But probably one of my favorite all-time Christian artists besides Keith Green. I really like Keith Green's music. And there's just so many good songs, and
you get all that stuff in Power Praise Radio. I think we have some Keith Green in there, and Russ Taff and all that stuff.
Christian, we got some of his music in there. We've got some other music. It's just we have a really nice mix as the show continues, and we decide to get a little bit more creative with it. We start adding more. I mean, the first hour has always been dedicated to the indie artists. But the second hour, we start mixing it up a little bit more. I can't remember how far into the show we do that. I think at least for the first half a year, we're doing it by the book on what they want. And then we start getting a little creative, like, yeah, it'd be nice to add some of this in there. So
Yep.
anyway, I don't know if that made Keith very happy when we did all that, but we knew, we started to notice as things were going, we got to spice it up a bit. We got to add a little bit more to it, right? It's almost like having a beautiful room, but you don't have any flowers. We got to add a few flowers in the room, right?
Yeah, well, no, after a long enough time of doing it, you do get to a point where it's like you just want to freshen it up a little bit,
Yeah. And this week's show,
make it a little shinier.
Yeah, this week's show, Power Praise Show 4, is actually where we introduce brand new imaging from Amy. She starts voicing it in this show. So as you go through the shows, you'll start noticing more things changing. Yeah. And it's actually very, very fun to listen to. So my friend, what have you got up for projects coming up here?
Yeah. So, I mean, having said all that stuff about Power Praise Radio, yes, we do indeed still have Truth and Testimony, the broadcast.
Yeah, that still exists.
And Life on the Road with Yeshua and Trucker Ray, of course. So I know it sounds like you've got a video you've been working on.
Yeah.
For the channel. I have a video that is going to be going up within 48 hours of you seeing this video. I'll have one of mine coming up. It's a Bible break on Jonah chapter 2. So you can look forward to that. And I have another big video. It's going to be part of my Hebrew Roots 101 series. It has been recorded. So it is just now down to editing. But these videos, I like to take a lot of time, do some research, get scriptures, get some historical information, include that stuff in. So that's where a lot of that time is it's kind of in that post-production phase where you're getting your information and doing the final edits and putting it together. So it's been recorded, it's being edited. It'll be up as soon as I can get it up. I have another video that's been outlined and ready to go and ready to be recorded. So there's definitely stuff on the way from me. And I'm pretty sure I heard you had a few things of your own coming up, but yeah, so it's like, it's not just about Power Praise Radio. We are still covering everything else that we were before.
Well, you know what? That was one of the visions of Truth and Testimony, not only to provide teachings and testimonials of others and just what God is doing, but just a mix of everything. And that's one of the reasons why we thought Power Praise Radio would be a nice addition to the channel. Unfortunately, we can't really put it up on the YouTube channel, but it is at least on the podcast, which is nice. So we want to kind of we just want to mix it up and just add as many different things as we can on there to make it entertaining. A little bit of music, teaching, whatever. I think it's a nice mix that we have right now. It's just really unfortunate that we can't have the shows on there on YouTube. It's just, it almost frustrates, me like you wouldn't believe, because it's almost like you're going to a restaurant and you have a menu of all this stuff there, but the roast beef, you can't get it. You got to go next door to get it, but it's on our menu. You know what I mean? It's just really frustrating, but it is what it is. That's what's going to make the podcast very unique, because it'll be in the archives and it'll stay there.
Yep. Indeed.
I have. So when did you say that you're releasing that Bible break? Is that going to be Monday or Tuesday?
It will be one of those two. I'm kind of aiming for Monday, but okay. I have a whole lot of running around. I mean, ultimately, I take this channel very seriously, and I want to produce good content for people to enjoy and hopefully learn something from. But having said that, and I don't want anyone to be offended or anything, but to me, my family always takes priority. So if I have to do things with my family, I'm going to do that before I'm making content for the channel. Mm-hmm. Family is that's number one in my book. And so it just so happens that, the last little while, we've had a lot of activities going on. I've been doing stuff with my dad and my mom. They're not together, so I do stuff with them separately. But, well,
your ethics are just way off. Your ethics are way off.
Yeah, I know. You need to get the priorities straight, man. Didn't you hear? He with the most stuff wins.
You see that thing in front of your face? That's priority, buddy. Yeah. See that microphone?
Right there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I've neglected you. No, but
no, I agree with you.
Yeah. So I have some stuff that I'm doing with my mother right now. So the thing is, if I get completed with her in enough time, then I'm going to be putting that video up at that point. If I can't, then it'll be basically Tuesday morning.
Well, the reason why I was asking is because I don't think I'm going to get anything done tonight now because it's too late. But I was hoping to get one of my other videos up, my Bible break up, but I don't want to put it up at the same time yours is going up. That's why I'm trying to figure out when you're doing yours. So I may just release my video on Wednesday, and then that
way.
Huh?
It'd be pretty safe that way because I'm not going to have anything happening on Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday or Wednesday?
Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah. So we'll probably just plan it to be released on. I can release the Bible break on Wednesday. I can still release my regular video on Tuesday if I want, or Monday. It doesn't matter. I just won't put it up on. It won't go up on Truth and Testimony until I know yours has been up. I don't want them competing with each other. So, but at least, yeah, you guys are getting a nice little bit of a little bit of everything there. I'm reading out of this really cool book. It's a Hebrew book, and it has what specific words mean. And this Bible break that I'm doing is I'm talking about the word avad, which means worship, and it's actually very good. And I record that video down at a park in Langley called Williams Park, and it's gorgeous, just rivers and streams, and there's a salmon run that runs right through there and everything, and it's just I just discovered a real gold mine at that park. So I'll be doing more recordings there in the future. But
yeah, you definitely inspired me. I got to pull my my little lapel mic out. But after
I don't think have you ever used that?
I used it one time. So I need to make some more use of it. But after seeing that video that you did when you were in North Vancouver, looking out over downtown Vancouver, it's like you really inspired me. It's like, man, I'd love to get out and do some more stuff on location.
Yeah, go down to the water where you have the beach behind you. You know, you have the water behind you.
Well, no, and one thing you can say about being in the north end of Vancouver Island is we've got some tremendous scenery opportunities here. Some great parks and stuff. So there's lots of options for doing stuff like that. So I am going to be doing a few more. They might just be Bible break videos or some shekels or something, but just doing them more on location like that. Like I said, get my lapel microphone going and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? We also want to invite our viewers and listeners, if you guys have any comments or any suggestions on anything that we're doing on the channel or on the podcast, we'd love to hear from you.
Or anything you'd like to see. I mean, if it's within reason and something we can tackle, I'm happy to do new stuff. Yeah,
I think the email is truthandtestimonyemail@gmail.com. Truth and Testimony email. It's not the broadcast. Truth and Testimony email, right?
Yeah, Truth and Testimony email @gmail.com.
I don't say that email enough.
Well, we have a tag line that says it, and it's in the description.
It's in the description anyway. Yeah, that's true. We'd love to hear from you, whatever it might be. If you even have a testimony that you want to share, something incredible that's happened in your life, and you have a short video that you would like to put on Truth and Testimony, that's what we also do as well. And we'd love to hear from you. But we do hope you're enjoying the content that we have. And we would like your constructive criticism, and your prayers is also very, very helpful.
I'll never say no to that.
Yeah, we will never say no to that. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about, my friend, or do you want to wrap it up?
I think that kind of covers it. We just mostly wanted to explain some of what was happening with us re-airing our old Power Praise radio shows, and then also a little sneak peek at some of the stuff that we've got coming up of new material. And we've done that. So I think the bases are covered. Yeah. And I think we just wanted an excuse to get on a mic together like we always do. Just to banter back and forth and have a little bit of fun. Lord knows we could get on microphones and just chat with each other for hours. Sure. We should try doing that. We should do a live stream sometime. Do a marathon. Yeah, do a live stream. Do transfusion overnight like we did on Co-op. That was so much fun. That was one of my most favorite memories. You know what? Out of ever being on a mic with you, that was probably
I would say that would be up in the top 3 times or top 2 moments that when we were on a mic together, because not only because of this setting, we were actually in a real station. It was overnight. We were overlooking Pigeon Park. It was a romantic setting. Just, you've seen the streetlights down there. We were playing jazz. I mean, that really didn't get any better. It's not like we were playing hard rock or hip hop. We were playing jazz, and we were in downtown Vancouver. It was the perfect setting. Like, I mean, I just can't. I really wish we recorded that session, and that would have just been amazing.
It's kind of funny. I mean, I think you recorded just about everything else in existence other than Transfusion Overnight.
Well, I don't know if we even, I didn't know the station well enough. If we didn't record it, it's basically your fault. Because you knew the studio, I didn't.
Yeah, I have to take ownership of that because before we ever did a show there, I volunteered at that station for a bunch of years. And I functioned as an operator for numerous programs that aired on that station. So I was very intimate with that control room. And absolutely, there was a reel-to-reel machine you could record on. There was also a cassette deck you could record on.
Yeah.
All of those things were there.
Yeah, you know what? But the thing is that because of your involvement with the station, we would have never had that opportunity to go on there, because on Sundays, or was it Sunday or Saturday, there was a show that there was a block that was open overnight. I think it was called Cul-de-sac, whatever it was. And
that's right.
And people could come in and book that 5 or 6 hour, whatever, overnight session. And you managed to book that. And we got in there, and I'm like, all right, we're on. And we had our little CD case of all this different fusion and jazz music and everything. And again, it was a natural thing when we got on the air. And I remember during that session too, that we wanted to order pizza, but nobody would come to Pigeon Park. So we had to get a taxi to bring pizza.
Well, it was 2:00 in the morning. I mean, it gets challenging at that point.
Yeah, but it was really fun. And that's not the only one. We actually ended up booking a couple, maybe 2 more sessions doing overnights. And we invited some friends. I remember one time we had Paul over, and we were all on the mics having a good time. And yeah, it's too bad we didn't record that stuff, but it's a good thing we have memories, because I'll always remember that and how much fun that was. And now Co-op Radio is nowhere near. Well, actually, they are close by, but they're not at Pigeon Park anymore. Now they're down the road on Hastings.
They did relocate.
They did relocate, but we still have fond memories of that old building, and it was fun. It was really, really fun. And I'm glad that
it was an old bank back in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
So it was funny because the program director's office was used to be the walk-in vault, or it was some crazy thing like that. And the actual main studio was that the records room? Yeah, it was something like that. And it got repurposed into the studio just because it was the right size.
Yeah.
So they're repurposing this old bank and turning it into a radio station.
Right. Yeah. No, it was fun. Man, I wish we could do something like that again one day. Maybe, you never know. But fortunately, we've been given the blessing and the honor of being able to, like I said, record as many shows as we have together. And we have that as a what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word now. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Well, the word that occurred to me was memorabilia, but
that is our history. There's another word for it. It is
legacy.
Legacy. Thank you.
There you go.
It is our little legacy of our partnership together on the mic together, and hopefully that will never die.
And when you think about that, I mean, that goes back again to 1992.
Yeah,
that's a lot of years.
Yeah. And we're just getting better, like wine. We're just getting better as we age. And the funny thing is, I will say this, and then we'll wrap things up. When you listen to Power Praise Radio, at that time, or just before it, I was a smoker. I was still a smoker. I think you had just quit.
Yeah, very recently.
Just quit. I don't know if you smoked during Power Praise. I know you smoked a little bit during back to the 80s and then you quit.
A little bit. No, I smoked a lot during back to the 80s.
We smoked a lot and we drank a lot of Pepsi. So
yeah, and then I quit and then we started Power Praise. So that was right at the time that I quit.
And then at that time, listen to me. At that time,
you still got it. You've still got the magic touch, Ray.
I still have the magic touch. You got the magic touch. Like that's another one in Power Praise on this week's show. I'm like, let's do it. And you're like, oh, wow, that your tongue's really doing it again today, huh? And we didn't cut that one out because that would have been a blooper.
I think, if I remember right, that was a review. You had some big thing. Yeah. I was like, that's very French of you, Ray.
That's right. And out of all of this bantering, I totally forgot what I was going to talk about. What was I going to say here?
Wow. Yeah. See, this is what happens when you ad lib.
Okay. Well, it was interesting. Oh, man.
You had a legacy.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't remember now. Oh, that's nuts. Oh, that's too bad. Okay. Anyway. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Thank you, Lord, for letting me remember because it's important. When you couldn't remember we were talking about smoking? That totally drifted off your mind too?
Oh, yeah. I've tried to forget about that.
That's good. That's good. That's good. He tried to forget about that. I can't argue with that. Anyway, no. So I was still smoking at the time. He had quit, but once 2012 rolled around, where I was still doing some stuff, when I got into trucking, I think right that same year I was introduced to a vape cigarette, and I think within a year I was off the cigarettes, and then fortunately I was able to get off of them completely and the vape. But the point I'm trying to make is that if I would have still stayed smoking, that's terrible grammar. If I would have continued smoking, if you would have continued smoking, what do you think our voices would sound like right now?
We'd sound like two guys from emphysema.
And you can call me Nina Blackwood, and you could call yourself what?
I don't know. Who's that one with the? Oh, now I can't remember. It was the comedian, and he had the really, really raspy
voice. I think I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember his name either.
Yeah.
But where would our voices be like? What would our voices be like if we were still smokers? And the reason why I'm saying this is that it's really cool that we're listening. When I listen to all these shows of Power Praise when it comes back on, because it just brings back memories. It makes me laugh. And I'm thinking, we sound the same now as we did then.
Yeah, I don't notice that.
I don't hear any differences. Like we could get in there and do an edit and nobody would know.
Well, you have all the same imaging. So yeah, we just about could.
Well, listen to the very beginning of the show where you hear the promo and then we jump in there and say, this is a classic episode of Power Praise Radio. The links, websites, whatever, please don't go to them. They don't exist, whatever. And then you go into the show and like, it's almost like nothing has changed. Our voices are still the same, which is really nice. So I'm so grateful to God that he gave us the strength to quit the smoking, because that all could be so much different now when we want to do an anniversary show. And it'll almost be like we never stopped doing the show at all. And
because between that and the AI manipulation, we can sound exactly like we did when we were 20.
That's a whole different topic, man.
It is actually us. And I did make that same observation that our tonality, like the inflection in our voice and just the pitch and the tone and everything, it's really very, very close, almost identical to how it was back then. We really haven't changed that much.
No.
And we've always had pretty good chemistry between each other. So
I think if anything, our voices might be a little tiny bit deeper just from age. Yeah, but it's still very hard. I don't know. It's very, very hard to say if you were to put two of those clips together, what the difference is in the years. I don't think most people could tell. The reason why I can tell, the reason why you could tell, because our ears are trained for this and we can hear that, but I don't think much too many people would even hear that. And as for, and I know we're saying we're going to wrap this up, but this is interesting what you just said there. This AI thing is getting scary because there's an actual program online. You have to pay for it, of course, that you can actually put your voice, you can voice something. It'll read your voice. It'll pick up on your voice, and you'll give it something to read, and it'll read it, and it'll use your voice. It doesn't obviously sound the same as you, but it's incredibly, it could really fool people. So it makes me wonder how many, if you go on YouTube and you see these dumb videos, like sometimes I'll watch these videos of police videos where people are doing these goofy things, and you have this narrator on there. You know it's an AI thing because he's not pronunciating the words properly. But this is an ongoing thing now. This is a regular thing. Everything you see now that's being narrated on YouTube, it's all done by AI. Nobody's using regular voiceovers anymore. They're not using people's voices anymore. So we are going to preserve that heritage right there. The real radio announcers, the real radio imaging artists out there will still live. If I can depend, if it depends, well, I can't even spit the word out. If I have anything to do with it, there we go.
Yeah. But I would just say that absolutely. I mean, there is no AI, there is no manipulation of anything in our audio or any of the shows that we did. I said about the only thing is we had a little bit of, I think you had a little bit of reverb on the vocal. And we have our little secret weapon, of course, that we've used for years and years, which just helps us get a fuller, richer sound out of it. But that's still using natural equipment to do that. There's no edits or alterations. Yeah.
The secret weapon that gives us the sound of a $10,000 processor, more or less. Yeah. No, we will not reveal what that is because.
Nope.
Yeah.
Trade secret.
Trade secret. Ancient Chinese secret. Okay.
On that note, I think we should probably wrap it up there.
You want to finalize? You want to close with a prayer?
Sure, absolutely. I would say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, King of the universe. Thank you truly, Father, for this opportunity to be on air here with my brother, my best friend, my co-host, Ray, that we could do this now, that we have this opportunity to hear this archive of shows that we did. All of these things we truly did for your glory, and that we can present these things now and give others an opportunity to experience your love and your grace that way that we had the opportunity to do so. And I just thank you that, you give us our health and we have our voices to do this, and that we have this chemistry. I don't think that any of these things were accidental. I think this all came from you, and we give you the credit for it, truly. And we thank you more than anything for the sacrifice of your son, Yeshua, Jesus, that we could even be here at all, because without that, none of us are here. We're not making these videos. Nobody's listening to these videos. That is the only reason why we're here. And we thank you truly for that. And I just pray that we would all have a great week. Everyone listening would be blessed this coming week in everything they put their hands to, and that you would continue to have a hand of protection and health on all of us, and just preserve us and keep us safe in these crazy days.
I don't know if I can even follow anything with that up. I mean, I think you covered everything there, especially a blessing on everyone that's listening and watching. And again, friends, if you have a comment, you can leave it in the description below. What you think of the channel, what you think of what we're doing out here. And again, if it's more on a personalized note, you want a prayer request or whatever it might be, truthandtestimony@gmail.com. All right, friends, we're going to wrap it up, and we thank you so much for joining us, and be blessed, everyone. And my friend, we will be talking to you soon. God bless you.
Blessings.
Bye, everyone.
You've been watching Truth and Testimony, the broadcast. If you have a comment, please leave it on the bottom of this video or email us at truthandtestimonyemail@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Truth and Testimony, the broadcast, is not affiliated with Truth and Testimony magazine.